So I just came back from jujitsu, and we're comparing this. We're gonna pull it back to entertainment, where I've seen a lot of people, even what's his face? Who's that guy with Leo DiCaprio? He was like massive. Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy uh is a big jujitsu fan. And I see a lot of people like kind of catch on that trend. Not so much as pickleball, but it's still there. And the reason I love it, it's like simulated fighting to the death. And because of that, if you have any problem that comes up in your life or whatever, it's not gonna top that. So everything is just so much more chilled out. That's why when you see a guy who's like a black belt in jujitsu, he's just so fucking calm about everything because it's constant reps of just fighting and just fucking choking out and all this stuff.
It's just a good release.
It's a good release, man. It's great, especially if you're a writer or something and you're creating your own world and you're just by yourself with your laptop. It's like getting there and actually engaging in that stuff is, I think, healthy.
Are you becoming buddies to the people at your club in
Yeah,
the mountain?
man. It's a great community of guys.
What do they do for work and stuff up there?
All over. Almost no one actually works on the mountain. They just go down. So either the high desert or San Bernardino or wherever else. Because there's like,
What type of stuff do they do?
it's all over, man. I mean, some of the guys are like, carpenters or, some teachers. They're all across the board.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What I mean, how do they compare in personality to like LA proper?
Hmm. I think less transactional relationships, which I found some genuine people. Uh, I'd include you on that list. Where it's like
Thank you.
it's like yeah, bro, it's most people in LA, I'm sure you've seen that, where it's like you see it in their eyes, or like when they're talking to you, one of the first questions is like, oh, what have you done? Or whatever. It's so transactional. When you get a little outside of that, you're like, oh wow, like these people are actually real human
It's
beings.
just right, like nothing is that important. Like they're just like doing them, and if you have something in common, great.
Exactly. There's no like hidden agenda. Or
Right.
even this is something that I know we've both experienced where it's like you want to be genuine. You might want something from someone else, but you're like going about it in a genuine way. And I complimented you on that before too, where it's like you're doing it in an authentic way. You know what I mean? There's a little transaction stuff going on, but
Yeah.
from that side too, it's just
Yeah.
part of the game. But it's like going about it in a genuine way. But the difference is when you're in a place like this, it's like you're just having a conversation to have a conversation. It's not like there's not any pivot. You don't have any
Anything
kind
to
of
get
thing
out
you're
of
going
it.
for. Yeah. So that's it.
Totally. I like it. Have you been watching or listening to Doug Ellen's podcast at all lately?
I listened to episode 7, I think, because he told me to. Did he come out with another?
I think he just came out with another. I was thinking about literally sending straight to you. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I gotta get on that. I mean, bro, it's like one of the best podcasts. We were talking about it last time. I think the reason it's so refreshing is he's blunt about the industry. Like he doesn't hold anything back. He's real. He's like he doesn't give a fuck.
Like I tend to agree with him on a lot of creative opinions too.
Like what?
Like he says everything out there is crap. And so it
Yeah.
brings up the bear and he recognizes like he's the first to make fun of himself. He's like, I know I'm a hack and Entourage is not like Academy Award worthy. Okay. And I know that The Bear is the best TV show anyone's ever seen. And it's so incredible and everything. He's like, but I don't kill me in the comments. It didn't do it for me. I like, some of these people, the show, like I just didn't care that much. And I agree. I tried to get in that show. I couldn't. But
Why do you think certain shows get that level of pedigree where they're like considered the next thing? Because I watch no TV, but The Bear is probably top of my list if I were to start something just because of
right.
the hype around it. And especially since you don't like it means I probably will love it. But
True.
I mean, what do you think gives a show that
So
level of like pedigree that is
so I think a lot of times it's just a trend. I think just people talking about it. And I know for myself, I really only watch Game of Thrones because my friends were. And the bar's just gotten so lowered. The fact that like if that's my reason for watching it, that like my friends haven't watched it and we're all gonna talk about it after and like have a group text and stuff and like it's fun to like bicker about it and stuff. Like, it's not, I spent a lot of time on that show, very bored and stuff. So I think they just take
All
the
of
audience.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of it. I saw one episode the last season where it's like the White Walkers or whatever, and they're like chasing each other. That's it.
Yeah, no, fair. And I tend to disagree with a lot of people that like aspects of the show that they loved, I didn't like, and aspects that they hated, like the last season, I thought was sort of satisfying. But so the answer to the question, I would think a lot of these pedigrees come from it's just you're hearing other people say they like it. Secondly, secondly, I'll just say what I thought about the bear. I remember watching the first episode, and it starts with this like, you know, tropey character of this chef, tatted up, New York, like trying to grind it out as like a chef and take his art seriously straight out of Chef's Table. Somewhat sounds like a cool setup. I mean, there's been so much chef stuff lately since Chef's Table, and I haven't really loved any of it. It ended up being like a lot of I think just the characters and like their situations and stuff were just not that interesting. Um, Kind of fell flat for me. But anyway, that's my piece on it. He agreed, Doug Ellen, and he says most of the stuff that he watches at all is reality TV. By the way, I want to get to what you think makes these shows interesting or whatever, but I found it funny. He pointed out about his career, the fact that he hasn't done any follow-up to Entourage. And he always addresses what you talk about and what a lot of people talk about, which is he's like, I get that I'm not a writer anymore. He's like, I've just not been motivated. And that's not the right attitude.
Mhm.
But, and I've tried to get some stuff going. And somehow, I can't get that stuff off the ground. And this other crap is out there. He's like, I know I sound bitter, but like, I feel like it's a genuine opinion. And I'm listening to that and I'm like, that is a genuine opinion. I get why he's not necessarily motivated because he made a ton of money. It made a
Yeah.
show that, like, honestly was kind of culture changing and not in just the Me Too vanilla way. It was like, it made a lot of kids probably want to go into Hollywood stuff because it unveiled the curtain and showed what it's like being a big time agent, being honestly a pretty successful actor in Johnny Drama, the brother that like he's worked more than 99% of most actors, yet he still gets treated like
Put
shit.
down upon. Yeah.
Down because it's like, what have you done for me lately? And it's like not much for him necessarily, but like he knows everyone, he knows everything about Hollywood. He's a Renaissance man, he's pretty
Yeah.
funny. And it was a really detailed depiction of someone who like the ups and downs in Hollywood. And
Yes.
it's such a tumultuous business that like, he didn't do too well. Like you're never confident. Even the top people are never confident. And I thought I didn't think that was the easiest thing to just show when it gets labeled whitewashed as like, oh, just a bunch of rich friends like trying to get girls. It's like, no, man. So these characters were A, really, really funny.
Mhm.
B, really, really insightful about Hollywood in ways that like a lot of people that are smart really appreciate, I think. And then um but so I get that. And then honestly, the show didn't age well, especially with the Me Too movement and stuff. That I think a lot got taken down in that movement that wasn't necessarily bad, and a lot of actors came out that were on the show and denounced it. Um, so I think Doug Ellen got wrapped up in that and probably wasn't able to get stuff going necessarily as much as he'd like to after that. And a lot of the actors that were on the show, same thing. But that
That's so annoying though. I didn't even know that people from that show like came out the woodwork and like denounced the show because of the Me
it
Too.
was like one person at least. Yeah.
It's like it was of the time, you know?
That's the truth. And he was holding a mirror to Hollywood and
That
not,
was exactly what it was.
yeah. And by the way, hadn't it's not often done well. Like I even think the show about the making of The Godfather with Miles Teller, like I didn't think that was that clever or anything. Like it was just flat. Entourage was funny as all heck, and just capture these cornball producers and hot shots and stuff in like in ways that were self-deprecating and stuff. And I don't think it was a perfect show. I think there's tons of stuff that wasn't great about it, but like, dude, they definitely nailed some awesome stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and also, I mean, I get his POV too, because imagine if you were the creator of Entourage, and it does have such a cultural impact. When you die, you're the creator of Entourage. It's like, I mean, I get the thing of like longevity of doing several things, but it's kind of like Seinfeld. Like Jerry
Yeah,
Seinfeld after, I love that show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, where
me
he's just
too.
like going around with, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's a great show, but like Seinfeld is still the king. You can't fucking top Seinfeld. So
right,
that, I think part of human mentality, at least is the way I think, is like when I'm like ascending the ladder,
right.
like, oh, I got this opportunity. Now I'm looking at this. Now I'm looking at this management company. Now this agency. It's like what happens once you're stacked with like the
It's
top.
gonna, yeah, it's gonna be hard to be motivated when you're that high. I think you still got to make new goals. But by the way, like, it's funny how you're like rated on a scale of like, what has he done in the business? He points out he doesn't love the business anymore. He doesn't necessarily like it'd be fun. He loves being on set, but he doesn't love the writing process. Um, and
I
he's got
wonder why he does it. Has he talked about why he hasn't paired with like another writer? Does he only want to do things that he's
that's a
written?
good question. He might be tough to work with, but he's gotten incredible at pickleball. That's like his life.
Mhm.
And he talks about all the time that like he has nothing to do and is just a piece of shit. But like he's a very smart, like well-rounded person, it seems like.
And I really hope that he does do that next thing, because on the podcast he was talking about uh like this thing he was
Desperate to get that
about.
show made. He wants to get his show made that they did the
And then
pilot.
they shot a pilot and he was really proud of the pilot. So
Yeah.
it's not even like he's not doing anything. Like he's trying to get
Right.
something off the ground.
It's just I think he's kind of like taking the piss out of himself of like demonstrating that it's only the tangible stuff that's on TV that you're held to. And like because he doesn't have
Mhm.
anything at the moment, he's like, oh, I haven't done anything. But like obviously he's doing stuff.
Man, the amount of stuff that you have to do behind the scenes to get one thing out there is like fucking ridiculous. And people don't know that. And that's why so many people come out to Hollywood. They're here for the year and then they just crap out and like
Well,
leave.
it's not all it's cracked up to be, but
Mm.
it can be great.
I like the business stuff because yeah, it's brutal and it's fucking ruthless. But like it's almost like playing football. Like you see like an opening every once in a while and it's just got open field and then you duck through that thing. It's like it is a game and there's a way of going about it that takes tremendous, it's balancing like tremendous patience with tremendous discipline. And if you got both of those things going on and you're meeting people, like there's a lot of really good people. Yes, a lot of it's transactional, and yes, a lot of people will only like answer your message if you're at a certain level, but like that's kind of motivating in a way. It's like, oh well, like let me now do this and keep working on my shit, and then this thing happens. You did that movie, the Lifetime movie, and it's like you were surprised by how that, it didn't really, I don't know if it certainly like opened doors, but like it got attention in certain
Yeah.
places I didn't expect. And so
It,
it's
yeah,
just,
yeah, maybe like that planted some seeds that will get
that's it.
you know,
It's a
lost.
long game, bro. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned. It's a long fucking game. It's a fucking marathon. And people who come out here, they're like, "Oh, let me get that gig." Like they think it'll happen in like 2 years, and it
Well,
never.
so like I want to segue a little bit into so with that movie and stuff, now I'm at a place, the Calabasas Pickleball Club, where I'm around influential people all the time. And all I do is pitch myself. I had a lesson yesterday morning with three women. One of them was like the producer of this big show, et cetera, et cetera. So I tell them about the Lifetime movie, have a good time, whatever. It's fantastic. Like all that stuff. They know my manager. Like it's all just like planting seeds. And then so by the way, on the note of the Calabasas Club, uh there was like a tournament this past weekend and I did the owners are so nice. They're just like, dude, by the way, value mentality, like you should you should do whatever you want with that here. Like the pro shop that sells the pickleball stuff said they didn't have enough space for me to sell value mentality stuff there, but there's a few things that developed. First, They said you can do whatever you want with it here. So I did a pop-up at the tournament and just had a booth, set it up and everything. It was a smash hit. Like, yeah, it got cleaned out, first of all. Like, best sales I've ever done. Yeah, bud. And then secondly, got it on rich Valley people. So it's definitely a good audience for it. Um, and that led to this one woman who's putting a shop in the Calabasas Pickleball Club, a big shop that they have like a bunch of them, and it's like cool curated clothing from all over, and she wants Valley Mentality in there.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yes, thanks. So that's like what a development. And meeting with her on Friday, and she's hyped. So and she's telling me already about like her asking me questions about all of our process to getting stuff developed and everything. So she's probably gonna potentially be able to like help streamline all this stuff and just help with connections and um yeah, there's been a few big things with Valley Mentality there so far, like that. I'm just like, dang, I just needed to get in front of the right people. I've had the goods for a long time, but it's like getting, and then a lot of things. Like I met a big casting director there who now she wants to cast me in something she's saying. Um,
Wait, so
hilarious.
you met her at the pop-up?
The clothing person or the casting
No,
director?
no, the casting.
Casting director, I gave a lesson to their kid, and they're like, "Oh, you look like an actor or something." I'm like, "Oh, I'm an actor," and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what have you done?" I told them what I did, and they're like, "We're gonna cast you in something." So like,
Dude, it's so symbiotic, isn't it?
it's
Even
wild. Well,
hearing how you're playing with like these ladies, like one of them's a producer and they know your what agent or manager.
manager,
Yeah,
yeah,
they like know your manager. That's when the world starts to become small. That's when everyone's like, "Oh, we love Duke. Yeah, Duke's
right,
great." And they're
right,
like, "Yeah, yeah, oh, we love Duke." Like that's when you know you're starting to be in the conversation and it's like you're now a product and
yep.
like you do a really good solid job. You show up, you do the fucking
Here's
thing and it just continues to build and build and then the world
right.
gets smaller and smaller and then they're like, "Oh, how about Duke for this?" Blah
It's
blah
got to
blah.
be a given that you have the goods, but it's just like what a wild concept that like I just needed to get to a place where it was the town square and all these people are going.
Yeah.
And like I just got so lucky to fall into this pickleball thing where now I'm there and like that's where they hang out. That's what they're doing. And what else was I gonna say on that?
I like how the guy was like, "You look like an actor."
Yeah, it kind of just like came up. And then once I told it is a big thing, I will say, when I tell them that I've like starred in stuff and everything because they're not like and especially that I like kind of laugh at the title with them and stuff of the Lifetime movies and like they're like, damn, dude, you're doing that and teaching here. And then I'm like, and I have this value mentality. Like, so like we've talked about, it starts to look really accomplished already. But
Right.
like, you gotta just somehow figure out how to get in front of the right people. And even as far as like now I'm learning I wasn't getting that many lessons on my own. And someone brought up, they're like, well, dude, we have 300 members. Like, you should be able to get these like things filled up. And I'm like, is it on me though? I thought it was like you guys, or like, can someone else like throw me a bone that has more like experience here and stuff? And basically, I realized like, because he told me, he's like, no, you should be texting the members, and you could do that too. And then I thought to myself, like, well, maybe I could just, when I'm doing the classes, tell them that, hey, I'm doing this other class, like do it. So I started doing that. And now I'm getting these classes booked, like book. So I'm just figuring out like sales
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And it
Uh,
is a lot of you're selling yourself, but you're doing it in a genuine way. You're like,
yeah, it's kind of a wake-up call and you find out that like it's not bad to make money on things. Like a
yeah,
service is a quantifiable thing. In fact, the same person that gave me the tip said, I told him I'm connecting this business dude with pickleball to like a store and I'm just happy. I don't want any equity or anything. I'm just happy to kind of help out a friend. And he's like, that's great. But, at a certain point, you should probably ask for a kickback fee. And I'm like, but isn't that a little? And he's like, nah, dude. Once you have like a family and stuff, you don't just do that shit for free. And I still don't know if I agree, but like it just kind of got me. I don't know. I'm meeting a lot of people now. I do know that.
I I've been in conversation with Crypt TV. They are like top dogs for horror shorts on YouTube,
Hey,
and I'm gonna be licensing some shorts to them, to like also showcase on their channel. And it's going along with that thing of like I've made like 100 short films for basically free. Like I've gotten some AdSense, but it's negligible compared to like the cost of what it takes to like make that stuff. But to actually get stuff now licensed, and then also some opportunities to um where they can provide the funds to produce stuff for them, which it looks like that's the direction it's headed. It's like going along with that mentality of like, yeah, you're an artist and yeah, you enjoy doing this stuff and that stuff's all good, but it's like it's time to monetize this stuff. Like we've been doing it long enough where we're
dark.
competent enough that it's like it's good enough to, I mean, look at the stuff that people are making where they're getting paid for it. That's totally shit. It's like we're good enough where I think it's just about having that
Been good enough for a long time.
we have been. So it's like giving yourself that permission of like, no, like I am valuable, like what I provide is valuable, and they would be lucky to like pay me to do this thing because I'm that good.
Yeah, which leads to bitterness, which is what I've had for a bit in a sense. Yeah. There's no questions in my
Name
mind.
of the game. Dude, that's really exciting though. That you got all these things lining up. And the thing that's really cool about it, it's like you're creating like an ecosystem for yourself. They all feed into one another,
Yeah.
including this. Like we have not maxed out the potential for what this podcast could.
Podcast. So
Like,
right.
here's the thing, bro. This podcast could 1000% serve a function that could completely help you and me. We just haven't really done that, but it could, and it's there, and it's ready to do that. But
Uh,
what I'm saying is like you're really smart to also add in like you've got the acting stuff, you've got the podcast, but you've also got the value mentality stuff, and seeing how all those things interweave is
yeah.
really cool.
Right. No, I appreciate that you're seeing that firsthand too. By the way, congrats on your thing with Crypt TV. That's insane. Dude, I was supposed to go to North Carolina this weekend to visit Tanner on the set of his TV show that he's filming. And I booked a ticket and can't go anymore. Like too much stuff came up and the weather's not supposed to be great there, but like it's just dude, I've been so busy with the pickleball stuff. I mean, I couldn't go to a friend's comedy show last Friday night. And I feel like it's just one of those seasons where, you just yeah, it feels like it's all pickleball right now, but
You said it's every day. Do you mean like Monday through Sunday?
yeah.
Holy shit, dude. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. So it's kind of granted it's not 7-hour shifts. It's like
Yeah.
oh, you'll do a lesson in the morning, and then you do this and you do that. So it's such a great schedule, but it is definitely something that like hey, because it adds up. And then on top of that, I have like people that are trying to play with me that are like big time successful people and stuff that I want to keep those relationships going. And so it's hilarious. It's such a thing.
Yeah, it's an obligation, but it's like it's a good obligation. You're getting something from it. Something else too, man, and I don't think you would ever fall into this category, but just something to be like kind of wary of is not being seen. And it sounds like you're doing the opposite of this, so you don't even need this fucking advice, but not being seen as like the pickleball guy. Like that's part of it, but it's not only exclusively that, because I've known a lot of people who, they're around they serve a different function, whether they're like massage
Yeah,
therapy
yeah. Their
or like
day job.
that kind of
Their
stuff.
day job.
Yeah, yeah, but it's like then their clients, even though they could help them with what they really want to do, they're probably just not selling themselves as well, and that's the difference between you and them. but like they fall into this
Oh,
kind of divot where it's like they can't really,
get
they're
out of that.
not seen as anything but that.
Yeah. No, that's a good thing to bring up. I think a lot of people that are like assistants to very influential people kind of get into that line of work thinking that, hey, maybe they'll get helped out by that person.
Assistance
Yeah, and kind of get promoted to be like a big writer and stuff. And
in
some of them,
entertainment.
yeah,
Yeah.
in entertainment, and some of them get pigeonholed. And
Yep. Yep.
100% that's applicable to my pickleball stuff. And I saw that with tennis teachers and stuff too. Like they want to be actors. And the first second I hear that, I'm like, yeah, but that, why would you be an actor? Is what I'm thinking. And the thing is, like, I can't put my finger on what's different about me.
Yeah.
Um, the only thing I could point to sort of is that I was fortunate enough to have some body of work and everything before
Already.
I had all these
Thank
big,
God. Bro, I think the timing worked out perfect.
I guess so.
Even
'Cause,
like a year before, it wouldn't have been the same.
dude, I don't know. Like, I mean, you're not wrong, but I was coaching this kids clinic the other night, probably 6 kids around 9 years old, and some were like 12, 13, and they literally brought up, they're like, we know you're an actor, you're in the movies. And they go, our friend couldn't believe that we were playing pickleball with you. And we showed her your picture on Google or something. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like, on some level it means nothing. And then on another level, it's just
Mhm.
like, oh, for someone to be doing that, I mean, yeah, kids get fooled by anything, but also it's like I wasn't doing that to the tennis instructor when I was a kid that they're like, oh yeah, I also want to be an actor. It's like, I feel confident in my qualifications. And then also value mentality is like a very, if there's any doubt in my mind of like, oh, my creativity, because some actors feel like maybe, hey, they're just actor for hire and they're not actually that creative. But it's like my creative stuff with the clothing brand and developing that and doing the designs and stuff is all there on display for people too. So it's like when people find that out, the amount of people I've had recently be like, oh wait, but is it like your friend's thing or is it like your thing? And I'm just like, no, 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 it's it's mine. I came up with everything. And they're like what? What the? It's like, they just freak out.
Yeah, man. You're doing all the right stuff. And also, like I love that you brought up the thing with assistance in entertainment because people think, you're a writer's assistant for so many years, or like you're an assistant to a manager, that kind of stuff. The
Right.
crazy thing is everyone comes to Hollywood and they want to be an actor, producer, writer, or director. Usually not even producer, like a writer, director, or actor. And then they like get in these positions and it's like they're in an office and like they have to pretend, or they feel like they need to pretend like they have to they want to be an agent or something. That's so many people out here. It's a lot.
Yeah, you need day jobs and you end up selling out and the day job becomes pretty decent. You rise up in it and it's like, oh, how much you want to go for your extracurricular activities and still pursue the lottery ticket.
I think the thing that's the most difficult part about this, like acting or writing or whatever, is like the amount of work that you have to do before seeing any kind of tangible result
Sure.
is insane. And it goes against like human mentality. Like you want to, like the way the human brain is rewarded is like you do something hard and then you get a reward from it and you're like, "Oh man, that feels good because I work for that." But to put in so much, that's why you almost have to be deluded, like especially in the beginning of like I'm gonna be this thing, and that it's just your belief. You're like, yeah, no, 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 I'm gonna be this thing, and like you have nothing to show for it, but you need that in order to put in the work to get to that level.
For sure. Yeah, my mom told me a while ago, she's like, show business is not glamorous. It might seem like it is.
Well, you know what? There are a few moments that are glamorous. There are a
Yeah,
few fucking moments, but to get those moments, it's like that's maybe like 0.01% of the job.
Hey,
Everything else is, and that's
cross.
what everyone sees. No one else, no one see people see like the premiere of your movie. They don't see the years it took to write that fucking thing and sell it.
Yeah. And it's fun. Like at this point, I give a lot of kudos to someone like Doug Ellen who like made this big thing and now he's not caught up in the industry, hating himself. In fact, he got happy. He has this fun podcast that he loves venting on, and it has a community of people outside of Hollywood that aren't cutthroat in the sport and everything, and has a family. It's like that seems like a pretty good way to do it.
I agree. You think you'd be like that when you inevitably hit? Will there be a certain time where you'll be like, yeah, that was enough of that. I'm chilling. I'm cruising. Or do you think this is something you're like lifelong? I'm gonna have to do this.
It's a good question. I think I will, I'm trying to set up the life where I'm not a slave to a paycheck and I can do all of these things as creative passions, like stuff that I don't have to do, but like I want to make really good movies and like really good businesses and be investigative of the world and whether that's in business, whether it's in art, comedy, etc. And like my cousin brought up the other day, he's like, Glenn Powell, you're probably gonna go see Twisters, right? I'm like, dude, don't try to freaking put me in a box, bro. I'm not just like some vanilla like male model actor or whatever. He's like, but you'd be happy to have like Glenn Powell's career, right? And I'm like, on one level, yes, naturally, and I actually think he's really talented, but and funny. But I don't just want a successful career to be famous. I want to make really entertaining, rich, thought-provoking stuff that only comes out once every couple of years.
Right, right. Yeah,
That
it's
hopefully
about
gets
the work.
compensated for and people see. What?
It's about the work. And that's how you get that longevity and that's how you stay in the game.
Yeah.
Is not it's not as fragile of a thing of like I want to be this thing and it's a concept of a thing. No, it's the work. You want to put out stuff that's remembered. And I just looked up Glenn Powell. It's so funny that he just came out with that movie with Anyone But You, I think it was. Set it up about trying to get there were assistants, they were trying to get their agents bosses like to
We
be
don't need the log line of anybody but you. It was one of the biggest movies in the world. I can't believe you and you're living under a rock. Fair enough.
Hey man, that's outside of my standard, you know? It's incredible I even saw that movie.
I'm not far from it. Real quick, I've been watching this documentary series called The Pacific War in Color on the Smithsonian.
Okay.
It's so good. It's so entertaining. It makes the people of the war almost, in the 40s seem so long ago, or they're so human. Like even dropping the atom bomb, they didn't even know what they had. It was like nerve-wracking. They weren't told the whole story. Our entire industry changed to being about war and everything in World War II because our weapons were archaic. I highly recommend. Best documentary I've seen in a long time.
After the bear, that'll be slot two.
Oh, you hurt me.
Bro, Horizon, I didn't see it. Did you? I heard about it.
I don't know.
That
No.
movie Horizon, like the 3 hour epic from
Oh, yeah. Kevin
you
Costner.
know, bro, that movie, unfortunately, like he put in like what was it, Kevin Kline, I think. He put in
Costner, you dummy, living under a rock.
again, not my typical film.
No, I respect it, but
Costner,
that's so.
he put in who the fuck is Kevin Kline?
That's the famous comedy actor guy that
Oh,
can't
okay. But
remember.
Costner put in how much? Like he put in like 30
It's
million.
nothing to him. The guy's worth billions and stuff.
Bro, still 30 mil is
It's
nothing
a
to.
marketing stunt.
Oh my God. Dude, the thing is though, 3 hour movie, really fucking hard to pull off. You know? It's hard to not be self-indulgent with something like that. They had to delay part two. There's a part two that's also 3 hours.
I didn't ask for that either. All
Bro,
right, Bruno.
always a pleasure.
Always awesome. Have a
We'll
great
do it
week.
again next
Talk
week,
to
all
you
right?
later. Have a great
All right,
one.
bro. You
Peace.
too.